We have our guest speaker, Mr. Basavaraj. He is actually a QA practitioner with over 20 years of experience in the industry. He is the founding director at Valuable Consulting and Technology Private Limited. He has a very unique session title today, Food for Quality Thought. I'm intrigued, and I'm sure everybody is intrigued as well as to what we are actually going to hear from Basavaraj. Um, I'm completely looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll have a great takeaway from here. Um, Mr. Basavaraj, over to you.
Hey, thank you so much. Is my voice audible to you guys?
Yes.
One sec. I'm just trying to put it in a slide mode. I'm just trying to figure out. All right. So thank you so much for the introduction. So I know I picked up a very dry topic, quality. So this is the last thing that you would want to hear on weekend, right? So um, I know it's a crazy thought. You guys can give me a peace of mind saying, boss, what is this? What kind of topic it is? It's crap and all that. So it's wide open forum. So before I just start my topic, just about myself, a little bit of introduction and something, if it would help some of you. I know we are going through very tough times, guys, because of COVID and all. There is an impact on jobs and all that. Just wanted to tell you that we see a good traction now. Market is picking up based on our hiring pattern. What we see, things are back to normalcy. That's what we started seeing. Even from our business perspective, we are into hiring big time, as well as trainings. We started seeing inquiries as well. So before I started valuable consulting, I was a practice head for one of the top IT service firm. Can somebody mute your line, please? I see. All right, now we are good. Uh, uh, I used to lead a testing function for one of the organization, and they happened to acquire another industry, and there was a consolidation. Then, due to consolidation, I had to come out, and I started going all around. No takers. I used to go with the multiple rounds. In the last round, people used to say, "Boss, I think you are putting more years of experience. You are overqualified, whatnot." So I was like, what is happening? I started thinking as to, is there anything that I can do myself? Can I leverage my experience that I've acquired over a period of time? It could be, hiring that I've done enough in my life, especially in my last organization as a hiring manager. I've done enough trainings as well. That is my passion. Being a coach, I used to volunteer myself to train people within my organizations. It could be induction training and whatnot. And as well, I always felt I have a strong networking skill. So I started thinking, is there anything that I can do? I picked up hiring as one of the function that I could look at, and training as well. And but I always thought these are low hanging for me to get started, and let me figure out as to on the long term what do I do for my bread. So it so happened that these two things became our main core business. I've gotten so much deep. We are not able to come out. We started serving various clients. People are extremely happy. Hiring has been always my passion. So you can imagine being a practice lead or head. I came down as a recruiter. So absolutely fine. So the message that I'm trying to convey, folks, is if you pursue your passion, come out of your comfort zone. Maybe you are going through difficult times, absolutely fine, but then uh, nothing like it. I think there is always a way out. You will figure out something. So this is the message that I wanted to convey using this opportunity. Today. Before I start off with my some crazy thought on quality. So the food for quality thought, is it a quality thought? Yes. Is it a thought on quality? Absolutely yes. So all of us are quality professionals. If you may. So in a one or other way, it could be, and I'm sure some of your developers as well. But on all of us is quality aspects. We need to make sure we induce the quality as much as possible, and we deliver a quality product. But we have seen quality over a period of time. We have seen how the quality aspects has been evolved. I might get into software development. Let me not go there yet. Before I'll take you through some couple of use cases. Yeah, of course, software development is another mystery from the quality angle. Yeah, so now I want participation from you folks. Some of you can unmute yourselves. Tell me, according to you, what is quality? Just one line. Gopal, JP.
Well, the end user is satisfied.
End user satisfaction, yes, of course. Yeah. What else? Come on, guys. I mean, all of us have quality.
Zero defects. No, it's zero defects, high quality. So we should not have more defects when we release our quality of product to the production, and it should have very minimal defect as per this one. So that shows our quality is good, Basu.
Okay. What else? Anyone else?
There could be whatever expected requirement has to be there in actual also.
Yeah, meeting the specs, right? Yeah, absolutely fine. Anything else? Degree of excellence. To me, what is excellence? Excellence to Gopal may not be an excellence to somebody else, Adi, right? We will come to that. All right. Of course, aligning to the requirements. You guys said total eight of the characteristics. Yes, to me, which we will satisfy your needs. Fitness for use, of course, it has to be usable. Otherwise, what is the point? Yeah. Of course, there is a purpose of that whatever product, and it is a fitness for purpose as well. Freedom from defects. When we say freedom from defects, is it absolutely zero defects? What it is, we don't know, right? And can anyone really assure that zero defects? It is still kind of subjective. Of course, delighting customers as well. Okay. Now, so this is a thing. Now let's go to a couple of use cases to see. Let's come out of software development world. Yeah. And let's look at how we fare in quality and what is our perception and quality. Yeah. Okay, so this question we will answer: is quality subjective or objective? Okay, this is an interesting question. We will talk about it. Let me talk about one of the use case. All of us have a canteen at our respective places, correct? Right? There is a vendor, food vendor, and each organization admin says to the food vendor, boss, we want to onboard you, but make sure you deliver top quality food. Of course, the caterers say, yes, boss, why not? We are known person, we are known people in the food industry. We deliver top quality food to you guys. Okay. Now, person is in and they start delivering the food, and after 2-3 months, then admin goes all around to get the feedback. Okay. Now, feedback says some portion of the crowd says, wow, what a food, wow. Some of the crowd says what a pathetic food is. Now tell me, somebody is saying very poor quality, somebody is saying top quality. Now, how do you assess this? How do you assess this? So who is responsible for the quality? I take caterer as a manufacturer and food as a product, right? Is that onus is on the manufacturer to make sure quality is intact, but does he or she has a control on it? Or does it depend on the user But then if it depends on the user, are we in a position to satisfy all the users? So where are we heading now? So how do we actually, is it now my question to you guys is it a subjective or objective? So I want to hear your perspective. Let's keep aside the software development for some time now. Let's look at this use case.
It's both, right? Subjective and objective.
It is both. Okay. So when I say subjective, to me, subjective, what it means is it purely my point of view, opinion. Correct? When I say objective, it is something measurable. All right. Okay. So how do we actually say it's a top quality? And here we have a mixed reactions as well. Okay, let's go to the next use case quickly, right? Yeah. This is a modern day painting. So for some folks, this painting looks, what is this? There's nothing in this painting. Yeah, just some here and there, some colors are there, and randomly some painting is done, brushing is done, and all that, right? For some, it is wow. There's a lot of emotions. People have gotten in so much deep. There is some message and all that. From the artist perspective, person has delivered the top quality painting and it's up for sale in 50,000, 1 lakh. But there is also one party who is seeing it as, what is this? This is poor quality. So my point of view is, how do we actually assess the quality? How do we actually quantify the quantification? Will come later. Probably it makes sense in the next slide. Yeah. The point here is, we see mixed reactions, and at the end of the day, who is responsible for the quality, and how do we still ensure what parameters or ingredients that gets into the quality aspects, right? So how do we get there? So it is, for some it is subjective, for some objective. But what I've seen personally, based on my research as well, quality has been always subjective. Though you see products being delivered, it is 100% quality, it is ISO, whatnot, and all that, but it still depends. It's still subjective. Okay. Any thoughts around this before I go to the next slide, guys? Okay. All right. Let me quickly move on to the next slide. I'm making a very, very strong statement, bold statement. Of course, before I get there, as I said, we have come long way, evolved. We have come long way on the software development world, and as well as testing, right? So when I started my career in testing, it was mostly defect detection. Then we got into more of a defect prevention activities. Yeah. So then we started looking at shift left, shift right, up, down, whatnot, right? I think we started seeing a lot of buzzwords as well, and we started getting involved ourselves right in the right in the beginning of the whole life cycle. We started looking at requirement assurance, then got into design assurance, code assurance, and of course testing and acceptance. Yeah. So so we started looking at all those from the quality aspects. But then one statement is this: testing only shows presence of errors. Sorry for error in the error spelling as well. Okay, never its absence. So what does it mean? Any thoughts around this?
So we cannot prove that there are no defects. Is that what
we cannot prove? Absolutely, totally. So we cannot assure. Then when we deliver the product to the client, somewhere we sell it in a this thing that absolutely no defects. It is 100% quality and all that, isn't it? Okay, so we'll come to that. Okay. So I want one or two of you to be a volunteer, somebody who is, a test lead or test manager capacity. So can you guys come forward? I have some role play to, play for you guys. Somebody? Anyone?
Okay. We can.
So you can call out your name as well, please.
Jai Prakash here.
JP. Okay, Jay Prakash. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Basavaraj, if there's nobody, you can count me in. My name is Aditya.
Okay, great, Adik. All right. Okay, I'm your client. Okay. So I have given a project to you guys on some product development. Okay. Of course, you guys are into testing as well, and you guys have promised me stars, moons, whatnot during the bidding process. Okay. So both of you are working on different product now. You're middle of an execution, a testing execution. So now I want to hear from each one of you. I want to know the status where we stand with respect to the product. What you guys are delivering. You're middle of an execution and testing. You guys are a testing manager. So can you help me with the status?
Okay, so should I go first? JP, you want to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, Aditya.
Okay. Yeah, so I think from our side, the status is not very good here. We had basically the release which mentioned the features that we wanted to test. And when we did the sanity testing, which is basically just to make sure that the most important stuff has to be tested, we encountered that there were two very high severity ones, defects that we found. And overall, there is basically a lot of risks that we have identified. We have shared a risk matrix to you. Probably that will show you where the defects are there.
Okay. Yeah, good to hear. How about Jay Prakash?
Yeah, based on the requirements, where we prioritized testing of the important features, and then we have found few issues, and then they looks like critical on the side, and then we are working on them. Yeah, it's look good at this moment.
So to me, somewhere it gives me an impression that you are giving a project status, correct?
Yes.
Right. I want to hear on where we stand with respect to product.
Okay, so the features which we thought in the priority line have been fine.
No, Jay Prakash, okay. I don't care what you're saying. I want to know, you tell me the quality that is induced in the product so far. What is the percentage of the quality that is induced?
Yes, the quality is not up to the mark as we thought.
No, I don't want subjective answer. I want the definite answer. So can you just tell me, is it 50%, 51%, 70%? The product that whatever that you are developing, the quality of the product is being developed?
Yes, around 50%, we can say.
Okay, 60%, right?
Yes.
Okay, I will come back to you. Adi?
Yeah, so you are asking me that you give us basically the quality status, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as per the risk metrics that we have qualified basically risk categories here, and we have divided basically all the features into basically the requirements into all the features that we have. And if you look at basically out of 46 features that we have, only 2 are passing. So based on those numbers, I would say 2 by 46 is a very poor quality according to us. We would give it a basically less than 5% at this moment.
Okay, now your formula is based on the number of features, right? So is it good enough to calculate, quantify the quality aspect?
That's one of the aspects. We also got one of our end users to test it, and his feedback has been negative as well. So I would say that in both the cases, not only on the feature side, but basically a domain expert who did not look at basically the features or testing, he just experimented with it by doing something called as exploratory testing, actually miserably didn't like it at all. That's our feedback right now.
So
We have reported that in the mail as well.
do you know unknowns or no unknowns? What is it?
At this moment, since if you look at the way things are, there should be a lot of unknowns, because out of 46 features, 2 are passing, and if there are 44 not passing, I would say there's a very high degree of unknowns hiding somewhere. So we would definitely say that at this moment it is very less information for us to even say that it is good or bad. That's why we are saying it is a very poor quality according to what we see, and what we don't see is yet unknown to us. You're right there.
Okay. Jay Prakash, you gave me a very interesting number, magic number, 60%. Can you tell me about the math?
So based on the priority of the features that we tested, and then we came up with the issues that are when we didn't find more. If we say 5 features are there, and then if there are no major defects over them in any less defects, critical defects in the whatever 5 features are there. So based on that, I came up with this number.
No, it is not convincing to me as a client. You guys promised me a lot of things, and now I don't see it in your report stats, and I'm not getting a definite answer on the quality aspect. So this is for the other participants as well. Can you guys help me understand? Can we quantify quality anytime during our middle of execution? Do you know enough parameters that you could actually bring it to your formula and say confidently, boss, this, I feed, here you go, 71%, 72%, 81%. Or is it a mystery? Is it something that we absolutely have no idea? It's just that, I'll just tell you a couple of stats, okay? So metrics based.
Hello.
Yeah.
I think we can quantify quality on the basis of test cases.
You are saying, I think. Are you sure?
Again, it's a subjective term, because if we have to quantify anything, then it can be quantified on the basis of test cases. But it is not sure, because apart from test cases, there are many things.
Exactly. That is what is I'm trying to bring in here, right? For some, it is test case. For some, it is escaped defects assessment. Your test case passed, failed, outstanding defects, density. There's so many things, right? Your actual cost of testing, and for some we also get into schedule, scope, and all that, right? Effort. So what I'm trying to bring in the thought process here is, especially when we have to quantify quality, like how we are seeing this subject quality being very, very, very subjective, right? In our previous use cases. Here also, to a certain extent, I see it is very, very subjective. We are not able to measure the quality. We are not able to give a definite answer. Once we deliver to the whosoever it is, though we say confidently, yes, we have covered all test cases, our requirements have been all covered, but yet we see defects from the production. Why is that? So somewhere, see, testing is very exhaustive exercise. Okay, let me tell you, right? There is no way we can say that we have covered everything. It is very exhaustive. Okay. That is the reason you guys do exploratory and all that. While you do exploratory, you figure out some more cases. Oh, okay, this is something that is missed out. So I'm just trying to see, is there some kind of math I can bring in? I can bring in some formula, put a lot of, whatever you said, number of test cases, passed, failed, outstanding defects, number of features, working fine.
Vasu, one more point.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Just some kind of dependency, environment dependence, hardware dependencies. So while we start our execution site, so we have lots of dependencies. Why our test cases are blocked? What is the quality? Why we are? So those dependencies we have to project because of so and so reason. So we are not able to achieve this one. So all these points you have to keep in mind. So then we have to project. So
No,
that's what
you are right. The list will go on and on. Is there an end to that? Is the whole trigger on this thought process was to really put some food for thought for you guys. Is there an end to this list?
I want to say no, sir. But some extent you have to negotiate. For example, we have GLB, whatever. See, everything we have to approximately we are going to do, but we have to show. But everything is on track. We'll deliver next. Next patch or something. We are convinced to customer and we'll deliver. Like continuously, almost all our issues means we can't go the product on time, right? We have to say next patch will be delivered. Is there any like major issues? Will like patch wise we are going to deliver. What I say.
Okay. Okay. But still, I'm wanting to hear from you. Is there somebody who is coming with a formula saying, look at these things, that is the end to the list, and here you go, feed the information, feed the data, and that's it. You get your number.
Sir, one more thing I want to say. If you have GLB issues, until unless pre-production issues, that will be over. Then you can go into give. Suppose even though if you have issues means we'll give some patches or like that way, right? You have to convince in the customers the core functional should work. Like if you have any additional features, those are all like those issues you'll find during that areas means that will be. Cascade the next. Next release or next patch we're going to deliver, right? Like that we are going to convince, right? Even though we'll say, yeah, it's possible, but right now we are going to be able to do this much. You can, convincing what I can say. This is my opinion.
The formula based like schedule variant something. So overall, we have some formulas in like when you present this one. So you substitute that formula, you get this much of percentage of quality. So there are formulas, but I don't remember the
No, I got it. What I'm saying is I'm asking only on the product. Please do not come back with your project status, guys. So, okay. Right. So see, for example, we have ISO and so many things. Do you think ISO frameworks and all that will assure you quality in the product? I just want to hear from you.
Not 100%, sir.
Now, if the product is not 100%, I'm not ready to accept it.
So normally, Basavaraj, I think it has got to do with the, as you mentioned about project risk and product risk. The quality has to be given the number based on the risk to the product. Okay, so for example, if we say like 10% risk to the quality, now that number will be dependent upon all these things, not the budget variance and schedule variance. Okay. But for example, if you have got X number of things to be tested, how many are tested, how many are not tested, how many are basically, I would say, like high risk items within the functionality, and if you can give weightage to that, you know that overall risk, which is underlying risk, has been this much, and that is the risk to the quality. The moment you actually leverage it to the higher level than defined level, like if you say that it is now basically going beyond 75% risk to the quality or 80% risk to the quality, you say that we are heading towards something which is a release candidate. Otherwise, you would say that it is a poor quality kind of a thing.
Yeah, so we can add only poor or high or low or whatever, right? So to the quality norms.
Yeah.
Right. And risk also, one more challenge that we see is, adding weightage to the risk. Right. Of course, it's a big exercise by itself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
So when I say I in the definition of quality, degree of excellence. So that is again degree of excellence. What do you mean by that? That is still a subjective. Likewise, here also, if you look at risk is again a subjective thing. What is high risk to you is not a high risk to somebody else. Yeah, right. So it depends. So that's a whole thought process. I think more or less I'm done with this short talk, but I just wanted to tell you guys that, day in, day out, we are dealing with quality aspects, that is, we are the people who will say, yes, go ahead and we'll ship the product, and obviously we'll sign off on the quality aspects, but yet we're in a situation in not actually able to say 100% quality or some number in whatever way. So, of course, though we have our own list of parameters to look at, these are the parameters, and based on our, so everybody has their own way of looking at the way the quality is perceived or seen, right? Number of test cases, outstanding defects, and all that. But there is no definite kind of an answer, definite kind of a solution or formula so far, unfortunately. So that is what it is. I'm kind of done. Yeah.
Folks, any questions for Basavaraj?
No, what is intention to say, sir? What is the conclusion? Means you mean to say always will be there. Like, what is the conclusion, sir? Just could you please?
The conclusion is it is subjective. Okay. So conclusion is testing is very exhaustive. There are a lot of known unknowns, unknown unknowns. Obviously, you cannot take everything into account, right?
Yes.
So we cannot promise, stars to the clients. I mean, saying it is 100% quality, there's no way it will fail. So that is exactly what I'm saying. Okay.
But somebody will agree, somebody will they're expecting more, no, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry if my topic was not that clear or this thing, but I tried my level best to put across, whatever little I can. Thank you so much.
Cool. Any other questions, folks? We still have time. Okay. I believe there are none. So, Mr. Basavaraj, I'm going to take over the screen. Hey, thanks a lot again. Thanks a lot for joining in and spending time and kind of giving us a framework through your perspective in terms of getting quality. I mean, in terms of getting quality right, especially when you have to deliver to the customer with so many variables, so many subjective truths as well as the objective truths. So this is a good takeaway, I'm sure, for folks who are actually getting into the industry, someone who is new and someone who has been a practitioner for some time as well. So yeah, that was the session was very insightful. Thanks again. Moving on, we have kept the best to the last.
Sir, I want to ask one more small question, sir. Right now, the industry using the exploratory testing, whether it's giving advantage or disadvantage, sir. Just I want to bring here in this forum. It's good or not, sir? Like exploratory is good. The exploratory testing is good or I mean best, or what is your opinion, sir? The bus, whichever the speaker just now he finished, that I'm asking him.
So exploratory is a new thing. It is definitely good, but same time, you should not be spending too much time on that because you really don't know what is it in for you, right? From the testing perspective. So it is just because if you know that whatever exercise that you guys have done, you are not that confident enough, and somewhere, as I said, if there are some unknowns that which you are wanting to know to figure out, go for it. But then not every organization is in favor of exploratory testing. I don't know why, but it only means an extra effort as well. But then what I've seen is people try it out, and if it makes sense, if they start saying yes, they do take it forward, and they start adding additional test cases what they would have seen from the scenarios that have from the exploratory, and they go and sit in your regression test suite. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, the guy has I mean SME, then only he can able to do better way of doing Explorer, right? For example, if a newcomer means who doesn't know the much product knowledge, like he can't do right much Explorer, right?
See, domain is important otherwise also for your testing, right?
Besides, what he means to say is, so if there is an expert, we say he has been working for 5 years or 6 years in the industry in handling those test cases. He very well knows that what test cases he needs to run. Without reading the test cases, he runs. But he know that those test cases passes, and then he has a time for other exploratory test cases there, wherein he can put time in the explore that those exploratory test cases, and then come up with the issues if there are any, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what you're right. If time is allowed, we have time, we can always explore at any time. Otherwise, somebody,
Yeah.
if there is a timeline and then you're not able to complete your own test cases, then the exploratory test cases may not be allowed, right?
So
Yes, sir.
can I add something quickly, Basavaraj?
Yeah, I was about to ask you.
Okay. See, what happens is that let's go outside the software testing. If we were to buy television as an end user, what do? Do you take a checklist with you and go that, okay, this is done, this is done, this is done, this is done, or you go and see that this is what it is, or these days we even don't look at things and we say, okay, let's basically go on Amazon and buy. So you look at reviews, okay, you look at what is the product reviews done by others. So reviews take a place there. Okay. Now let's go back to our testing and say that, okay, why basically the methodical way is required. So in case of compliance, when you have to show that testing has been done, you really require to tell that this much testing has been done. If you are in a need of a hurry and if you really need to do too many things at a short pace or basically short duration, I would recommend that the best way to find out large number of defects is go all out. Okay, and let 10 people go all out. You will be surprised that in 10 minutes or maybe an hour or maybe 2 hours, you'll be able to find many more defects than if you were to go in a methodical way. Okay, that's my opinion at this moment. I would say it's an extremely powerful way, and a lot of companies use that, especially when the time is at a critical juncture.
I agree. Yeah, and we are in the world of continuous testing, and whatever it takes, right? Pick up the tools that you want and methodology as well. Just go ahead and do testing quickly, whatever, right? So that you can. Only thing is the productivity perspective. If the person is not able to find defects through exploratory, how can you measure the productivity of the person? Is still a question.
Yeah, agreed.
I think I may have a slightly different.
Because there are no definite test cases as a reference point there. It is obviously exploratory there. So yeah.
No, I understand that. I understand both the opinions. Although I have a different viewpoint here, especially from an exploratory function. From a very new product point of view, if you're starting your journey with the testing, I do feel that exploratory testing gives a lot of momentum in understanding the product, in understanding the different techniques you can apply later when you write your test cases to build the test cases and then test it. And then exploratory testing kind of is also methodical, so to speak, if you kind of follow the different approaches that the exploratory testing practitioners have actually outlined. So I do think it has to be a part of the everyday test cycle. It does have a lot of value in terms of getting the initial bugs out, getting the product owner, the test owner, to actually understand the system really well, and then also provides insights as to what next you'll have to do in terms of your testing. So I would request folks to actually dive a little deeper into exploratory testing. It does provide a lot of value in any test cycle.
I agree, Sundar. So in fact,
Yeah.
if I can give my example, when I was basically the entire test manager or even senior test manager and the team was working, my role was to not only make sure that they're all basically working without any worries. I used to basically spend an hour on a daily basis to just go through the product and do as many testing. You would not believe, guys, the number of defects that I was raising was basically almost at the top level. Okay, as a manager also, the way that I actually understood the product was just by going through it and just going all out on it. And as Sundar said, that if you time limit on it, and if you say that this is the area that you focus, there is a method to it. So it's not basically completely monkey testing. It's definitely methodical there.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, Aditya, right.
Yeah, nice discussion. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks everyone. That was really good discussion, like Basavaraj said.